Those are my cheeks once I get to the Elite Four. Welcome to the only video where the research beforehand took longer than the actual Nuzlocke itself. I'm going to be really straightforward with you here. We've got a lot of hardcore Nuzlockes on the YouTube. Some of them good, others really good. And we also have a lot of beat X game with just one Pokemon videos. In fact, this guy has a channel entirely dedicated to it, the most specific genre of content since Ants Canada. And for me, there lies the problem. Two challenges segregated for no good reason. In this day and age, I say no more. What I've decided to do is forcibly smash these two together and create a hardcore Nuzlocke, but I can only use one Pokemon. This means, in our Nuzlocke, the lucky chosen Pokemon cannot be healed in battle, cannot overlevel past the next gym leader's ace Pokemon, cannot have any friends, and cannot die. A lot of cannots, but what can he do? Beg Arceus for mercy. Hey, you know what? Fine by me. I don't need religion when I have planning. Listen, I know this may seem boring, but if you stay with me, if you give me a chance, I'll show you a gecko every 15 seconds. That's the deal, so, you know, keep watching. The fire-only hardcore Nuzlocke I did a bit ago involved only playing decently during the actual Nuzlocke. In this one, we have to make a few choices beforehand. First up was figuring out which generation we should play on. An important question, because if we get it wrong, we're wasting a fair few hours in just playing a game that's never going to go in our favour. Now, I could have used my endless logic to factually determine which game is easiest. However, I instead chose to listen to the voice inside my head, known as Big J.
This actually, I do think Fire Red Leaf Green are probably the best games. They're easy, pretty straightforward. It's pretty doable. Very good choice. So
he's never let me down before, and I trust him with this call. Now, the big question though. Who's the Pokemon we're choosing to accomplish this task? Well, this is where things get a little bit distorted. Entering Timeline 1, where there were no rules on the Pokemon I could select, I selected the most OP one in the game, Mewtwo. See, my logic was, this is still going to be challenging because we're only allowed one Pokemon, no overleveling, no items, etc. Then I was shocked somehow that the Pokemon designed to be OP was in fact OP. Let me break this down by breaking down the most difficult fight in this Nuzlocke. This is Starmie. It's a water psychic type Pokemon used by the second gym leader in Fire Red, Misty. If you were to run through the entire game with just a Mewtwo with the aforementioned rule set, this is by far the most difficult fight, and it's only because Mewtwo enjoys hitting the air more than the target. Once you throw enough attempts at it though, eventually the Starmies align and you can get through, and from there, you click Psychic. I know, shocking, but that's literally it. You just tap this button, you just keep tapping it, and eventually you'll find yourself winning. Yes, we're a minute in or so, and we have the answer. Yes, you can beat a Pokemon game using just one Pokemon with hardcore Nuzlocke rules. And my god, it makes for a boring Nuzlocke. It was around the time I swept through Blaine that I realised, even though I had an answer to the question in the title, the question of whether or not this video will be interesting enough was clearly no. This realization that I no longer had a video and therefore I had to keep going led me down a path of discovery and disappointment, because now we're entering the second timeline, and in this one, legendaries are completely banned.
Brother, why?
But like any good YouTube apologist, I immediately changed the text around to better suit my narrative, bringing us to pseudo-legendaries. And man, did they suck. We got the Dragonite that absolutely should have folded to Lorelei in this demonstration, but instead the AI was like, Safeguard, yes, this is the move I use here, and then a lovely kiss by Jinx, which missed, by the way. Fucking Hitmonchan, Hitmonchan, more like hit more of the fucking air than Dragonite-chan. Also, I only hit myself 3 times out of about 11 or so turns of confusion from Outrage, and hit 2 crits during these fights. Let that sink in. Right, I am upset, and that is understandable, but in fact, the old wench was the one to finally, take us down and prove my point. Yes, Dragonite is incredibly strong. He could probably go through most of the game without any issues. However, not only does he have very key weaknesses, he's also not really strong enough to take a lot of hits, and not, well, strong enough in the other way to deal them out with enough force. And he's lacking something that we need, and I'll get on that a bit later.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Yeah, I like to move it.
Before that, I did some experiments with a few other pseudo-legendaries. Tyranitar, Salamence,
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Linoon. Not only did all of them fail against the Elite Four, but each one had an overall issue that would hinder them throughout the rest of the game. The closest I came was with Metagross. Now, whilst the Elite Four fight was the most scuffed thing I've ever seen, we did in fact win, which is what matters. However, the rest of the game isn't too nice to old Metagross. You know, fire, ground, and honestly even electric. Like, yes, I got critted here, and that ultimately resulted in us taking the L, but that's just one of many dangers that we would need to avoid. I guess you could say you don't always want to go with a meta pick. With this, I fell into despair, beginning to realise every single Pokemon I chose would have some sort of issue, something causing them to fall short of our goal. Until I had my epiphany, my Elon Musk, my Jeffrey Bezos moment. Mewtwo worked, so why not use smaller Mewtwo? That's right, the serial killer himself, Alakazam, or as you may refer to him as, Magic Mike. He is indeed the definition of a glass cannon if you throw some harsh insults in his general direction. But my god, the cannon part of Glass Cannon is insane, throwing off a stab 90 base power psychic from 135 base special attack in a game where the most resilient Pokemon to psychic is an occasional Drowsy. It's pretty damn awesome, and if that's one of the most difficult fights, this is one of the most easy fights. I wouldn't go raving about Alakazam though, unless he had the something that I mentioned earlier. He has Calm Mind, a move that ups our special attack and special defense. Now, setup moves are notorious for being, well, incredibly overpowered in Nuzlockes. I may have abused them a little bit in my past, and I will continue to do so in the future. Now, as good as Mike is, he does have some issues, and we're going to need to tamper a little bit in order to fix them. As they say in Nepal, on the outside I skirt, but on the inside I am systematically cheating at a children's video game. And I know what you're saying. But like, come on, we could waste like 1 or 2 hours and then have to reset because we weren't strong enough. I can't be having that. If it makes you feel better though, as the one in control of this video, I will call it a proof of concept Nuzlocke, not a proper Nuzlocke, so this is now completely acceptable. And with all that finally done, we collect Magic Mike from Professor Oak, and our rival Teamwork chooses Bulbasaur. It is finally time for this Nuzlocke to begin, over 6 minutes in. Great. Well, we can start speedrunning this very quickly. In fact, Brock is taken out before we get to the level 10, and this underleveling is going to be very important and ultimately irrelevant later on. I'll get to that in just a minute though. First, our major rival, same as with Mewtwo, Misty. This time we're at a dramatic disadvantage. However, the math still works out that we always should win, barring any crits. Side Beam one-shots Star You, and it does enough damage to Star me that we can KO it before it KOs us. Unfortunately, we get a bit confused from the math and ultimately have to redo the exam. No issues though, no problem, we got through it. Actually, we got through it on the second attempt, which I was very surprised by. And it was all thanks to no confusion and confusion. Oh! Second try? Maybe? Come on, just once! There we go. There we go! Immediately after acquiring the second badge, we've reached our second problem, and it's not the electric gym, or the grass gym, or the poison gym, or any other gym. it's the EXP from random trainers. Before the Misty battle, I'd successfully beaten our rival and all of the Nugget Bridge trainers, meaning after Misty, all that remained in Cerulean was a few mandatory trainers leading to Bill. When that's all said and done, we're halfway to level 25. Doesn't seem like an issue, right? Except the man canonically confirming the existence of the Pokemon War has his ace Pokemon at level 24. So needless to say, the Team Rocket member who gives us dig, the one unavoidable trainer on Route 6, our rival on SS Anne, and a bastard man blocking the entrance to Lieutenant Surge means we overlevel quite a bit. This revelation once again leads me back to the drawing board. And after an hour, I had drawn a question mark. Because the question is, should a Nuzlocke really be invalidated if we say manually lowered our level whenever it rises beyond our control? For any of you conflicted, Moses had God kill children, and we call him a hero because it was for the greater good. Is what I'm doing here any different? Giving a fail to XP management aside, everything else is going beyond well. We mowed down the grass gym, probably shouldn't have to discuss what happened at Koga's gym. Hell, by the time we enter Sabrina's gym, I was feeling really good. Magic Mike was in his final, most formidable form, rocking an unbeatable move pool. Psychic for damage, Shockwave for Teamwork's Gyarados, Recover for recovery, and Calm Mind for upping our Spa and Spada. With this move pool, I want to make it very clear, no one stood a chance against us. The amount of damage we could deliver was unparalleled. A +5 special attack, Sabrina is subpoenaed on living. And against Blaine, well, you really can't blame me for being overconfident. Magic Mike's gonna show you a magic trick. Watch as your life disappears before your eyes. Finally was Giovanni, who I'd already beaten 2 times prior, never having any issues or close calls. He was swept away with Psychics. Perhaps if he evolved his Rhyhorn into a Rhydon like a normal person, his defeat could have been avoided, but as it stands, he did not. And I was standing tall. A challenge I originally considered impossible was on the verge of being completed. I was already reworking the script to edit out my IV tampering and adjusting the title to something that would better reflect my mighty achievement. Little did I know, unlike every other Nuzlocke I've done, the final Elite Four and the champion were going to be the most difficult and frustrating battles I had ever come across. Magic Mike has been leveled up to match Lance's Dragonite at 60, and with that, he's ready, I'm ready, let us begin. Against Lorelei, we're setting up Carmines in the face of Dugong. Now, this is pretty safe. In fact, it's very safe. We can sweep through it no problem after. However, there is one small little obstacle, and it's the chance of being frozen. And here's the thing, I don't play around with a 10% chance of something awful happening, so I backtracked all the way to Route 23 and acquired a Lumberry to cure any freezes. With this in Spoon, Mike was completely safe, and Laura was lying in a ditch when I was done with her. Moving forwards leads us to Bruno and Agatha. Fighting poison, yeah, okay, not really going to be difficult, so instead I'm going to do some more talking and discuss what's coming up and why I'm scared. First is Lance, the not as scary but also potentially very scary one, with his Dragonite's meaty bulk and very scary and physical in this generation's Hyper Beam. We need to KO it in one shot, therefore again, that means our minds need to be calmed. And there lies the problem. The Gyarados that leads also has the mighty Hyper Beam, and if it crits, we're just going to be dead outright. So, we're just killing it beforehand with Shockwave, which in turn will bring out one of the Dragonaires, who we will then proceed to use as setup fodder, and yeah, you get the idea from there. Now that I'm like happy with. A few crits here and there would be bad, but you know, overall I think it's pretty safe. What isn't safe is our rival Teamwork. Fittingly, the final battle in this Nuzlocke is the biggest and most terrifying one. He leads a Pidgeot with Aerial Ace. That can kill us in around 3 hits, so sounds like a free setup. I mean, we can recover, we can use Carmine, we're all good. No, Pidgeot has Sand Attack, so while we're upping our Spada and Spada, we're also losing our Akura. This leads us to a conundrum. We can't KO this thing in 1 hit, and we can't risk staying in for more than 1 turn because we could be hit by a Sand Attack, and at that point, it's just a gamble if we're going to win or lose. So how do we set up on something that has a move perfectly designed to counter our setup. To be fair, I don't know why I'm asking you this. The gecko has more brain cells, and he's an idiot. Plus, let's face it, you're probably ugly, but oh, you wanna prove me wrong? Well, come on, come here and try it! Haha, see, what I did there was taunt you. And aside from looking like an idiot, you'd also be unable to use non-attacking moves for a few turns, such as Sand Attack. And there lies the solution to our final problem. And oh, look at that! The Agatha fight has just finished. Lovely timing, because now the second to last fight is on its way. As mentioned before, Lance leads Gyarados and is caught completely unprepared by the shocking performance of Magic Mike. But in response, Lance decides to put on his own show, and it's called being a cheating asshole. So that's the problem right there, when the AI decides to be a bit cheeky. So the way the AI works is weird, but in very, very simple terms, the AI has a Pokemon with a super effective move. It will send that one out next, more often than not. Oh, this is tense. Aerodactyl, level 58, no boosts. Psychic does not kill. So, let's say Aerodactyl here had the move Crunch, a super effective move against Psychic. It would always come out second rather than the Dragonairs. And I bet you're wondering, how did I miss the super effective move Crunch? Aerodactyl does not have a super effective move called Crunch. Hey, you want to explain this, Juan? You want to explain this? How does the AI work here? If he actually is watching this right now, I guarantee we just got a very long-winded explanation on why I'm an idiot and why I'm wrong. But okay, things haven't gone according to plan. I'm sure this will still be fine. It's not like Aerodactyl has a move that completely counters. Aerodactyl has the move Scary Face. We're in a position now where if we don't get 2 Calm Minds off, we're going to die to Dragonite because we can't do enough damage. If we stay in and get 2 Calm Minds off, we're going to die to Dragonite because we'll be slower. See, it's essentially a gamble on what Lance's AI is going to do right here, right now. Ultimately, there's only one way we're walking out of here with Magic Mike alive, so I make the executive decision to just hope to God Aerodactyl does not use Scary Face. And Aerodactyl uses Ancient Power. Oh, dice. Don't you dare get the boost. Now, Ancient Power does have a 10% chance to lower all of his stats, but who the hell would care about a 10% chance? Oh, I did put leftovers back on it. See? Nothing happened. That is very, very good. See, with speed lowering moves, the AI will typically use them on turn 1. They always kind of want to be faster if they have the option of making an opponent slower. So the fact Aerodactyl chose not to use it on turn 1, it sets the stage that it's probably not going to use it on turn 2. Scary Face. Or, you know, it just be like that, man. And, just like that, the video title has returned to its previous ambiguous description. The run is over, and the topic of this video is now just a theory. A game theory. But then, as I was writing the script for this video, I had an immense amount of dissatisfaction. I just couldn't bear that I had lost this Nuzlocke that I so easily could have won. So against my better judgment, I proceeded to load up Pokemon Fire Red and then play through the entire game again with just an Alakazam. However, this time, I didn't give myself max IVs or a perfect nature. I actually reset the game multiple times until getting something decent. Because this was going to be a proper Nuzlocke. My redemption arc began and I got KO'd by a Pidgeot. That is just painful in ways I cannot even explain. Was absolutely not in range of a crit there. That's just... Also, I actually did end up just going all the way to the Elite Four and a champion, only having that one death. But once I got to teamwork, I had realised I forgot to teach Magic Mike Taunt. And if I'm remembering correctly, the backup plan I came up with was just click on Psychic and Shockwave, never actually using Calm Mind at all, until Rhydon, the last Pokemon on Teamwork's team, the final Pokemon of the Nuzlocke, and I accidentally misclicked and hit Calm Mind. So in the first part, I lost to Teamwork. In the second part, I lost to Teamwork's last Pokemon. That is poetic. Unless while editing this I decide to go through the entire thing again, this will be where we end it. Yes, you can beat Pokemon Fire Red with hardcore Nuzlocke rules only using an Alakazam.